Hello, friends. July starts in 2 days, and this month there are 5 specific financial situations that are going to cost Americans money. Some through deadlines that are already closing, some through new fees that are showing up at the checkout counter, and some through payments that come out of your account automatically, whether you're watching for them or not. Today I'm walking through all 5 in order of urgency, starting with the one that expires in 10 days and cannot be extended. Before we get into it, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the bell. Financial deadlines in this country do not send reminders, and they do not grant extensions for not knowing. Subscribe now and let's get into it. Check number 1, and this is the one you need to act on before July 10th. Not the end of the month, not when you get around to it, July 10th. A federal court ruling called Kwong versus United States, decided in November 2025, found that the IRS improperly charged failure to file penalties, failure to pay penalties, and underpayment interest during the COVID-19 federal disaster period, which ran from January 20th, 2020 through July 10th, 2023. The court held that under the tax code provision governing federal disaster declarations, all tax filing and payment deadlines during that period should have been automatically suspended, which means the penalties and interest the IRS assessed during that window may have been improper. The National Taxpayer Advocate issued an urgent public statement in May 2026 saying that tens of millions of taxpayers may be entitled to refunds or abatements of these amounts, but the relief is not automatic. You must file a claim, and for most taxpayers, the deadline to file that claim is July 10th, 2026. The form is IRS Form 843, Claim for Refund and Request for Abatement. It is free to download from irs.gov. You write Protective Refund Claim pursuant to Kwong versus United States across the top. You file it for each tax year where you paid penalties or interest on obligations due between January 20th, 2020 and July 10th, 2023. You mail it certified mail to the IRS Service Center for your filing address. 3 important things to understand about this before you act. First, the Kwong decision is being appealed. The Department of Justice is expected to challenge it. The refund is not guaranteed. What the July 10th filing does is preserve your right to the refund if and when the law is finally decided in taxpayers' favor. If you do not file by July 10th, the statute of limitations closes on your claim permanently, regardless of how the appeal turns out. Second, this applies if you paid IRS penalties or interest, not just if you owed taxes. If you filed your returns on time and paid your taxes but were separately assessed a failure to pay or underpayment penalty during that window, that penalty may qualify. Third, H&R Block confirmed in a June 2026 guidance article that they are helping clients prepare these claims. You can also file on your own. Check number 2. The extra fee that is starting to show up at the register this summer and that most consumers do not realize they are now legally being charged. Credit card surcharges. Additional fees added to your transaction when you pay by credit card are now legal in 48 states as of 2026, and merchants are increasingly activating them. Over 60% of small and mid-sized businesses now use some form of surcharge or dual pricing program driven by rising credit card processing costs. The surcharge can legally reach up to 3% of your transaction under Visa rules and 4% under MasterCard rules. Those states have their own caps. Colorado limits surcharges to 2%, and several states require them to reflect only the merchant's actual processing cost. What this means practically, a $200 grocery run paid by credit card can now carry a $4 to $6 surcharge that did not exist a year ago. A $150 restaurant bill paid by credit card can add another $3 to $6. These charges are required to be disclosed before you complete the transaction, either on a sign at the store entrance, on the checkout screen, or on the receipt. But disclosure does not mean you had advance notice before you arrived. The way to avoid paying these charges is straightforward. Pay by debit card or cash. Debit card surcharges are prohibited in all 50 states under federal law. If a merchant adds a surcharge to your debit card transaction, they are in violation. The surcharge only applies to credit cards. If you routinely pay for groceries, pharmacy runs, gas, and restaurants with a credit card, the cumulative monthly cost of these surcharges is worth paying attention to. States that still ban credit card surcharges include Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Maine. If you live in those states, merchants cannot legally charge you a surcharge. If one appears on your receipt, you have the right to dispute it, and the merchant is subject to fines. Check number 3. The mid-year tax check that the IRS does not send a reminder about, but that catches people with unexpected bills. July 1st marks the midpoint of the tax year for anyone receiving income that does not have automatic withholding, pension payments, Social Security, IRA distributions, self-employment income, part-time work, investment income. This is the moment to verify that you have paid enough in estimated taxes through the first half of the year. The IRS requires estimated quarterly payments if you expect to owe $1,000 or more in taxes for the year beyond what is withheld from any source. If you underpay, the IRS charges an underpayment penalty, currently running at 8% annualized on the shortfall. The specific trap that catches many seniors in 2026 involves the interaction between the new $6,000 senior deduction from the One Big Beautiful Bill and their estimated tax calculations. Many seniors and many tax advisors have not yet recalculated their estimated payments to account for this new deduction, which can significantly reduce taxable income for anyone 65 and older. If you have been making quarterly estimated payments based on last year's income and last year's tax rules, your payments may be either higher or lower than they should be for 2026. The mid-year point is the right time to recalculate. Q2 estimated tax payments were due June 16th. Q3 is due September 15th. If you have not yet verified that your year-to-date estimated payments match your projected 2026 tax liability, accounting for the new senior deduction if you qualify, September 15th is the next opportunity to correct any shortfall before it compounds into a larger penalty at year end. Check number 4, the insurance premium adjustment that is changing how much comes out of your account this month. For anyone enrolled in Medicare Advantage, Medigap, or a private supplemental insurance plan, July can bring a premium change that does not arrive with a clear explanation. Insurance companies and pension systems conduct mid-year administrative reviews, and some plans adjust their premium deduction starting in July, switching from one billing timing to another or reflecting a mid-year rate change that was disclosed in paperwork most people did not read carefully when it arrived in the spring. The practical check for this month: look at your bank account or the deduction line on your Social Security statement and compare the July amounts to June. If the number changed either higher or lower, call your insurance provider and ask specifically why the amount changed and whether it is a permanent adjustment or a one-time catch-up. One-time catch-up deductions happen when a billing timing shift causes 2 months of premiums to be collected in a single month. A premium increase is different and warrants a question about whether it reflects a plan change you agreed to. If you did not receive advance notice of a premium change, ask the insurer when it was disclosed and request a copy of that disclosure. You have the right to know what you are being charged and why. Check number 5. The Social Security payment timing shift that catches some recipients off guard every time it happens. As covered in a recent video on this channel, July 2026 brings a calendar anomaly that affects 2 specific groups. If you begin collecting Social Security before May of 1997, or if you receive both Social Security and SSI at the same time, your July payment arrives on July 2nd instead of the usual July 3rd, because July 4th falls on a Saturday this year, which means the federal holiday is observed on Friday, July 3rd, and SSA moves the payment to the preceding business day, Thursday, July 2nd. For SSI recipients, the anomaly is more significant. Your regular July SSI payment arrives July 1st as normal, but your August SSI payment arrives early on July 31st because August 1st falls on a Saturday, and the law requires SSA to issue the payment on the last business day before a weekend. 2 SSI deposits arrive in July, 0 arrive in August. If you spend both July deposits in July thinking you received extra money, you will have nothing in August when your regular bills come due. The check to write in July for SSI recipients is this: on July 31st, when that second deposit arrives, set it aside completely. Do not spend it until August 1st. Treat it the same way you would treat your August payment arriving on its normal schedule, because that's exactly what it is. So here is the complete July financial picture. File IRS Form 843 by July 10th if you paid any federal penalties or interest on tax obligations due between January 20th, 2020 and July 10th, 2023. Write protective refund claim pursuant to Kwong versus United States across the top and mail it certified. Know that credit card surcharges are now legal and active in 48 states, and switching to debit or cash eliminates them entirely. Verify your year-to-date estimated tax payments against your projected 2026 liability accounting for the new $6,000 senior deduction if you are 65 or older before the September 15th Q3 deadline. Check your July insurance premium deduction against June and call your insurer if the amount changed, and if you receive SSI, set the July 31st deposit aside completely as your August budget. Subscribe, share this with someone you know who needs to hear it before July 10th, and I'll see you in the next one.